Hey, this is Patrick McCormick here at McCormick Systems. Just wanted to introduce myself real quick and then throw a quick little thank you guys for jumping on. Looks like I got a few people still jumping in, so I'm going to give them another couple seconds, a minute or two sort of thing, and then I'll dive into to the system here. So while we're kind of holding tight, while we're kind of waiting, in the past, McCormick used to have four different levels of the system. So it was called the Win 1000, 3000, 4000, and 6000. And probably a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, we decided that it made more sense to really focus on two levels and really enhance those two to the best that we can. So we decided to move forward with the Win 3000 and the Win 6000. Just change the names. So it's now McCormick and McCormick Pro. So I know some of the clients that are on here, I've talked to you guys in the past. I know you guys are running the Win 1000. Not a problem. Still support it, still update it, everything like that. It's just now considered a legacy program. So going through it, like at the bottom right here, doesn't say Win 3000 anymore. It just says that, hey, we're running McCormick, which is what used to be called the Win 3000. So jumping into the system, I'm going to go through some of the differences that from the Win 1000 to McCormick, again, used to be called Win 3000, some of the enhancements that we have in there that are really just going to make everything a little bit easier for you guys, faster to get bids out, more accurate, some of the bells and whistles, things like that for you. I am going to leave some time at the end, so if you have any questions or anything, definitely don't hesitate. Just throw me a little question in there, or at the end, call into our 800 number. It's 800-444-4890. Ask for Patrick. I'm the only Patrick here, and then they can throw you right over to me, and we can dive into something more specific if you need to. So not a problem at all. First off, kind of jumping into it, this right here is my job screen. So I'm already logged in. Same step as you guys are always used to. Username, password, quick, easy, and you're good. Now looking at my job screen here, as all you guys know, this is mostly my job history, or if you want a new job, you just hit new job and keep going. But big difference between the 1000 and this one here is this actually has no job limit. So in the past, on the Win 1000, you have a limit, so you got to kind of manage the job, see what you have track of, history of, everything like that. On this one here, there's not a limit, so you can have 1,000 jobs in here and keep your jobs archived if you ever need to. Not a problem. I'm going to come through and I'm actually, instead of making a new job, I'm going to hit the details on this job. Reason for that is you hit new job, same window, same steps you guys have always done, put in who to get a hold of, how to get a hold of them. But one of the big things I want to do is add some drawings in here real quick. So down here at the bottom, I'll hit that DEP drawings. I can do it a couple different ways. I can right click and make a new folder, just kind of help keep stuff organized. Or up here in the top right, I'll hit add drawings, grab all these, hit open, and there we go. Really not picky on the format. PDF, TIFF, JPEG, PNG, they're all completely fine. And if you got a big PDF, it'll actually break it out just like this for you. So you can come through and you can pick which ones you want, hit import and you're set. Or like I've only got 9, so I'll just hit import all of them. Hit OK, and there we go. So now I got all my drawings in here. Pretty quick, pretty easy. I can still drag and drop, move them around if I want to. Again, organization's huge. If you're not organized, you don't really know what you got. So get your stuff in order a little bit and you'll be set. But that's it. So that's how you bring drawings in. Right there, add drawings, grab them, hit OK, and you're set. So close that down, and I'm going to open up this job. Now, going through this system, the Win 3000 or McCormick, again, same 5 buttons you guys have, but right here at the top, you got jobs, labels, takeoff, extend, and bid summary. Now, as I go through these, we're going to see some differences. So on the job screen, kind of explain the limit. There is no limit. On labels, this one's going to look a little different because on the Win 1000, you've got 1 column, and that's it. You can only have 20 labels inside that 1 column. Here on the 3000 or McCormick, you've actually got 3. So it's going to allow you to break that job out even more. So rule of thumb, start big, work small. I got my bid packages, area systems. That's great. I could do floors instead of areas, or I could just do bid packages and systems. I don't have to use all 3 if I don't want to, but the option is there for you just to give you some better breakouts and more reports and everything once you get into that extension. That's it. That's one of the big differences here with the labels is you're able to break out your project even more. Takeoff jumps into a lot more of the differences and then how to really use it, how to really float through it and fly through it. So you've still got the same assembly window, menu, and you got your audit trail. Now up here at the top, you've still got the drop downs, but instead of having one drop down, because in the 1000 you only have one label set, in this one you have three because you have three different labels. So I've got my base bid, Office A. If I change that to Office B, there we go. And I'm working on my power. Now, a couple ways I could do it. Kind of the old school way. If we don't have drawings or if we don't have the Design Estimating Pro, I can easily come in here, print out the drawing, find my duplex, and say, hey, cool, I need to take off 20 of them. Type 20 on your keyboard, hit enter, and there you go, you're set. You just took off 20 duplexes. Now, for some of you that haven't played with assemblies too much, those assemblies are loaded up with our byproducts that have everything you need to do to get that install. Now, each of these are items, so they all have pricing, labor, everything like that for you. But it's pretty easy. You just simply click on the part you need, type in how many, and you're set. Now, again, it's kind of an old school way of doing it. And on the Win 1000, that's exactly what you're going to do. Is you're just going to run one window, use your menu here to find what you want. So branch of constants, die set, number 12, three number 12s, type in your length, and you're done. Now, if we don't want to pull in drawings, or if we don't have the Design Estimating Pro, one of the benefits we could do is use what we call as our workspaces. Now, if I open that up, I no longer have to go through the menu to find everything every time. I can just simply click on this right here, look at my receptacles, telephones, and switches, and it pops open three different windows for me. So if you printed out your drawing, went through and totaled up what you need, I could say, hey, I need 150 amp, I need 25 3/4 inch wall risers, I need 50 single switches, and let's say I need two duplex or two double poles. There we go. So without having to even touch the menu to go find something new, I just hit my workspaces, pull it up, and I can customize these. These are basically the same as the buttons up top, and there's unlimited. You can put as many in here as you want. So it comes preloaded with a bunch of them. But again, tweak it, make it fit you specifically. So takeoff wise, that's one of the big differences. Again, is you've got the ability to open up more takeoff windows, fly through your takeoff that way, be just as accurate. Now, to get away from the old school style of typing in a number or printing out a big piece of paper to measure some stuff out, I come up here and hit my DEP. And this is really why I brought those drawings in at the beginning. So hit the button up top, opens up this right here, which is my Design Estimating Pro. Top left to hit my drop down and just pick what drawing I want. So I picked my power. Now the next thing that's going to pop up is say, hey, I need to set a scale. Now I can see down here in the bottom, I know this one's an 1/8. But if you don't know the scale or frankly you don't trust it, not a big deal. You can set it from a known point. You can set a custom scale, completely up to you. I know this one's accurate, so I'm going to set it for an 1/8 just to kind of give you guys an example of what it'll do for us. And now I'm just going to go through and start doing my takeoff. Now the great thing is I can still, if I have two monitors, I could put this over on my second monitor and use these parts right here. Again, using the same items, same assemblies you guys are all familiar with. You can also, to make life even easier, load up your favorites list, which I have over here on the right. Customize this, and you can have multiple favorites lists. On the Win 3000, you can have 3. On the Win 1000, you can only have 1. But I can load this thing up, so I could say, hey, I want my duplexes. Click on my duplex right there, and now all I simply do is click on the drawing where I want these duplexes to go. So kind of flying through it, but what we can see down here in the bottom left, I got 14, 15, 16, 17. And now if I go look at my audit trail, I can see right there, duplex standard, 17 of them taken off by me. This date, that time, and it has a P, and that's going to show you what drawing that was actually taken off on. So if you ever have to go reference something, hey, where were those 17 at? Well, there you go, you know. So if I open this back up, I went through, got some duplexes on there. It seems like more and more often the drawings are kind of getting a little bit less quality. Trick we could do here is I could double click this or right click, go to properties, go to my duplexes. And now what I'm doing is I actually changed that symbol to look like a duplex. So I'll do the same thing for some switches real quick. I'll throw 3 switches on here. Double click that, make it look like a switch. So now, even though there weren't switches on my drawing originally, I just did that little design build. I can send this to anybody in the field and it'll show them exactly what I took off and where. Same thing doing pipe and wire, say 3 number 12s. Pretty easy. Just trace out my room real quick, double click to end, and there's those 17 duplexes, 3 switches, and we took off about 75 feet of pipe and wire. So not doing anything too crazy. All we're simply doing is the same thing as you're counting and measuring. We're just doing it all in one step versus counting somewhere, hitting the ball and striker or something like that to get those counts, and then throwing it into the program manually. Tons of bells and whistles in here. I can flip over and do some auto counts. I could do auto home runs. So I'm going to change my audit trail or my label set to be my low volt stuff. That way I can show you guys that auto count real quick. So go to my voice and data, and then again right here at the top, set my scale, which is an 1/8. Now my next step is I just got to hit what I'm looking for, which is my telephones, hit my auto count, and I'm just going to highlight this area. Now the reason I'm doing this is I'm telling you I want to search in this area. I don't want anything in my legend. I don't want anything goofy like that. So now all I do is zoom in a little bit, grab what I want to look for, what symbol. So pops up right there. You could doctor it up, make it look nice and pretty if you need to. Multi-sheet's pretty cool too. So if I hit that, it pops up this little window over here on the left. And what it'll allow is if I have multiple drawings with this same symbols on them, I can search them at the same time. So I don't have to do this for every sheet. You can do it once and hit 2 or 3 sheets at the same time. But I don't have multiple, so I'm just going to show you how it works on one of them. And I'm going to hit add search. So now it's going to go through and track down everything on this drawing that matches that symbol that I told it to go look for. And it's going to find, once it's done up there calibrating for us, all right, it looks like it tracked down 59 of them. So if I hit those 3 little dots right there, it's going to pop up a window and show me what it found. Because eventually, if I scroll down through this, I'm going to find some that don't quite match up. Oh, there's a couple right there. So I'm actually going to remove those. And let's grab that one as well. There we go. So now I can actually right click here, check everything above it. Snag that one right there. And there we go. All right, so that's all of them. So now if I come up here and hit accept, there we go. In a matter of, I don't know, minute, maybe 2 minutes, we just took off all of our telephones. So pretty easy, pretty quick, going through, just dropping some stuff on. A couple other things we could do is now that you've got that all counted, that's great. But now, especially in low volt, all these got to be home runs. So a couple ways I could do it. I mean, I could ignore the one right next to the panel room right there, but I could say, hey, pick my shortest distance, pick my furthest distance, run an average, no problem. Not a bad way of doing it. But we have a tool that's going to make it even easier. So I'm going to designate panel A as my low volt panel. So there's my panel A, hit OK. And now I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to hit this button right here, which is going to let me pick a route. Now, the reason I want to do this is because I don't want to go through walls or anything. But I'm going to name that route 1. So if I come back here and I can grab like my MC cable, or if you want to go back to your database, you grab Cat 5, Cat 6, whatever you need to run. But then all I simply do is grab the parts that, or not parts, grab the devices that I want to send back to that panel, right click, and right here I can tell it to go route 1 back to my panel. And there we go, I'm done. So to kind of show you what I just did, if I open up my legend, we just took off 50 telephones. We took off 15 different runs at a total of about 1,300 feet of MC cable. And again, it took less than 5 minutes. So if you're doing this by hand, it's going to be a lot of counting, a lot of measuring. Doing it on paper, hopefully the phone doesn't go off or something doesn't pop in your office and mess up your counts and where you left off at. If it's marked on here, it's done. It's counted for you. It's nothing that can be done. You're set. So I can spend a lot of time here in this Design Estimating Pro. There's lots of cool bells, whistles, features to it that just really make life easy. Highlighters, notes, call outs, inspection rings, all sorts of things for you guys. But I do want to leave some time at the end, like I mentioned, so I'm going to kind of bump on past this. But if you guys do have any questions, definitely throw them in at the end. I can open this thing back up for us, no problem. So I'm going to close that down, and I'm going to hit that step 4, that extension. All right, so in the extension, what we're doing is it's going to be a full list of all the material that we took off on this project. So that's going to show us the part name, it's like half-inch EMT, took off about 3,800 feet, $3 or $33.30 per foot, so it's going to cost you about 1,300. 2 hours per 100 foot, so you're going to be moving half-inch EMT for about 75 hours. Now, this is your entire project. Well, if you remember right, back on step 2, we went through those labels. Now on the Win 1000, we only have one label, and on this one we got 3 different label columns. This is where that really comes powerful, because I can come back here, hit my labels tab at the top, uncheck something I don't want to see, like my change orders. I just want to focus on my base bid right now. And I can come through and I can tell somebody exactly what's going to cost for Office A if I uncheck everything else, or I could do this and separate these out. Now, what happens if I hit those 2 little buttons right there and go back to material is it's going to show you exactly that this job is going to take 471 hours up there in the top right, but your Office A power, well, you're looking at 80 hours to finish that out. And here's all the material you need to get that done. So now I could take this, I can print this, I could throw it to a item pull sheet if I want to, send this out that way, get some material ordered, or I can even come up here to the top and collapse these down. Give this to a PM, say, hey, you have 471 hours or 472 hours to get this done, but there's your deadlines along the way. So if they come back at you and say, hey, you said Office A power was going to be 80 hours, well, hey, we're sitting at 75 and we still got some time left on it. Where's everything going? You could break it out even more granular and break it down by cost codes and say, okay, well, hey, branch rough, I gave you guys 45 hours for. How long did it take you? Oh, that took 50? All right, well, there you go. Now you can start trying to track it down, figure out where you're over or where you're under on time. Because looking at this, you're going to be doing trim for about 17. So tons of detail, tons of information you can get out of this thing here. Again, another section of the program that I could spend a lot of time in, getting into price updating and new bells and whistles, different reports, different setups, things like that. But ultimately, this is your breakouts. You're looking at material, quantity, dollars, labor, and pretty much any way you need to see that breakout, we could definitely help you out with. So once we're done with that, once everything looks good, I come up here and I hit send to summary. Now what this is going to do is actually push this over to our step 5, which is our bid summary right there up top. All right, so right here, looking at it, I got my base bid, I got my roughly 14.5 for my material, and I'm looking at 471 hours. Now, again, the hours are just straight hours. We haven't signed any dollars to those yet. We'll do that in a second. So material cost is thrown right here. No overhead or profit yet. We'll do that at the end. But I want to go through and I want to assign some labor, get my quotes in there, any subs, my direct job expense, any equipment I need to pick up. So I'm going to come through, bump through all those real quick, and then we'll do overhead and profits. We want to know what the job's going to cost us before we figure out what we can make on it. So down here at the bottom, I just go to my next tab, which is my labor, and you simply assign somebody to the project. So like my foreman, hit the little arrow, and there we go. Now he's going to be out there. So just for easy math, I'm going to do 4-man crew. And when I say easy math, I like doing it by percent. So if everybody's going to be turning a wrench at the same time, there you go, 25% equals 100 down there at the bottom. Everybody's going to do about 117, 118 hours each. And that labor is going to cost you about 19,000. Well, labor is done. So now you just bump on to the next tab, which is your quotes. Come through here, I could say, hey, my fixtures, well, maybe I'm looking at 15,000 for my fixture package. There we go, I'm set. You can hit add down here, throw in some new lines if you want to. You can throw in your suppliers' names, add some extra labor hours if you need to. Absolutely no problem. Subs, very, very similar. I could say, hey, got a guy that's going to saw cut. Maybe he's $50 an hour, and he says it's going to take him 15 hours. There you go, $750. DJE, direct job expense, made permits and fees were $1750 there. I did a little bit of an as-build, added those switches in there, so another $550. Again, add some lines if we need them. Equipment, a couple ways I could do this. I could say, hey, backhoe, maybe it's I don't know, $250 a week. I need it for 2 weeks or 2 days, however we want to look at it. Or maybe an air compressor. Maybe I'm charging $5 maintenance. I own it, but it's going to be out there for 60 days. There you go. There's $300 in case something happens to it. Replace a hose or something like that goes on. It can help you bond a job. You can do amount or percent. Sure, it depends on how you guys need to see it. And then taxes. Make sure you throw that tax rate in there. And then when you're done with that, you jump right back to that top sheet. And now I've got numbers all through here. So I'm good. I'm set. But now I have nothing still in overhead or profit. But I can tell you that this job's going to cost you right about $54,706. Now, to make some money on it, come over here overhead. Let's say we're going to start with 10% and throw a 15 right there for profit. Now, doing these over here, all it does is throw a nice blanket number on these. I can still come in and say, hey, maybe I'm going to pull 8 here and 25 from there, whatever you need. Home these in. But that way, over here on the right, we can actually get a total price. So looking at my sell price, about just shy of 70, so I'm looking at 68,000, making 20%, and about 13.6, almost 13.7 coming back to you. From here, you can dive into some of the reports, some of the proposals, things like that as well. One of the big things that the McCormick has that the one 1000 does not is your graphs. So I could open these up, dive into it and say, hey, I got 19,000 for labor. It's 28% of my project. Open it up and I can see who's doing what or who's making what. So you have a bunch of different graphs and numbers and everything in here that you could always check out and bump through. But ultimately, that's kind of where I'm going to turn it over to you guys and see what kind of questions or if you guys want me to dive in a little bit deeper in a certain area. Like I said, I got a little long-winded there for a second, but I do want to leave some time for you guys to throw something at me if something comes to mind. All right, good question. So question was, if we upgrade, so at any point with McCormick, it doesn't matter what level you're on, if you upgrade to the next one, all your data, all your information, assemblies, jobs, everything absolutely goes with you. By no means do you start over or anything like that. You can if you want to. We could set you up with a brand new out-of-the-box database if you're an old-time user or something. But ultimately, yes, your stuff will upgrade with you, won't be changed, won't be tweaked, nothing like that. So definitely not very good question, but definitely not something to be concerned about. Yeah, another good one. So training wise, couple ways we handle training. We got the training classes here in Phoenix, as well as up in Ohio. They're 3-day classes. We also do online training. I highly recommend anybody that does any sort of upgrade, at least grab a couple hours of training. That way you know really how to use the new features you get. To talk cost, scheduling, everything like that, just give me a call. I can go over all that with you guys. But if you do the upgrade, doesn't make sense to pay for the upgrade and not learn how to properly use it and to best implement it to you guys. The online training is all one-on-one. So the trainer lets you guys run the mouse and really gears that training towards how you guys do business. All right, material cost. Few different ways. We can update material cost through Tracer, NetPricer, which are third-party pricing services. You can also get a file from a supplier and update it that way. Push comes to shove, if it's like just before before the bids due, you can come in right here and actually change the dollar value. So I could say, hey, pricing's old. McCormick says it's going to be 14,450. I can come in and say, hey, it's actually going to be 1,200 or 12,000 and put that in, and it automatically overwrites. A few different ways we can update that. So if you want, give me a shout and I can kind of go through those in a little bit more detail with you. But yeah, it's typically one of the pricing services or a file. Unit pricing. So unit pricing is kind of a real deep dive into it. Um, to really use the unit pricing, a lot of our clients will upgrade to the McCormick Pro because you can build custom formulas and specs and reports and everything along those lines. To really figure out what you're needing out of the unit pricing, do me a favor, give me a shout after this, because then I can, again, share my screen with you and kind of go through how the math in our system by default set up and then see if it would make sense for you to upgrade or not. But yeah, unit pricing, we could definitely help handle. Just really depends on what kind of unit pricing you're talking about. So there's a few different descriptions or definitions of how some of our clients use that unit pricing section. Also on our version 16 for McCormick Pro, what it'll end up doing is you can actually break these out. So you can assign certain people to certain areas, which is going to get a little bit more. If you do unit pricing, if you're going to be doing labor by crews or anything like that, it'll help out along that line as well. Just kind of a little side note I thought of with that unit pricing question that could definitely help you guys out. So I can load that up at any point if you guys want to see it as well. Yep. Next one popped up saying, so kind of a statement, not really too much of a question on it, but no, definitely a good point. Yes, we have both options. You can keep the system installed on your own software and keep it on premise and do an upgrade there, or I mean, we've got the cloud option as well, which I mean depends on kind of how you want to approach it, sort of thing. I mean, it's a monthly payment. So yeah, we could definitely go through and either get it off your guys' stuff that we have access from anywhere as long as you got internet, or keep it installed on your own machine. We've got some different options out there for you guys for sure. So limit to the labels. So on the Win 1000, you've got one column and you've got 20. On the Win 3000, you've got three columns and you've got 20. So ultimately, I mean, you can get pretty creative with it pretty quick. You could double up the labels. So I could say, hey, base bid, Office A floor 1 power, Office A floor 2 power. You can do some things like that if you do need to branch out a little bit more on the labels, but you are limited to the three columns and 20 going down. Good follow-up question on those labels. So, like I said, 1000 has one, 3000 has three, the old 4000 had four, and the 6000's got five. But the 6000 or McCormick Pro has no limit to labels going down. So, but no, definitely good question on kind of what are the label setups and the other levels as well. Question on how many extensions you can create. There's not a limit. Again, version 16 kind of takes care of a good majority of why you're going to have multiple extensions down here. So definitely hit me up on that one. But to answer your question, is there a limit to how many extensions? Easy answer is no, but more in-depth answer is give me a shout, because on 16 you should not need to make too many extensions. They should easily limit that down by being able to break that stuff out for you. Yep, another good one. So doing the takeoff on the Design Estimating Pro, absolutely. So you can do whatever you need to on it. It's got filters and layers and stuff like that. You can absolutely take that, print it, save it as a PDF, send it to your guys in the field or whatever you need. Absolutely not a problem. All right, so another question popped up. Can you copy and paste labels to create extensions? You can set them up absolutely in like your template job, and any job could be a template. So if you end up, I don't know, do a Starbucks now, and a month from now or 6 months from now you do another Starbucks, odds are they're going to be pretty similar. So you can absolutely copy from that Starbucks the labels or extension breakouts you're looking for and paste them into a new job. Not an issue. Um, yeah, give me a call on that one, or even our support guys a call, because there's certain things you can set up. You can set them up in the bid summary and have them go over. It just depends on what information you're really looking to drop into that new project. All right, I think I'm gonna hold tight for another couple minutes. You guys have had some really good questions, some good in-depth questions. Um, yeah, hold tight for another 2, 3, 4 minutes sort of thing, and then I'll probably call it if nobody else throws a question at me. And while we're waiting, I just threw name, phone number, and my email right there. That way, if anybody wants to hit me up again off of this, do more one-on-one, or you thought of a question afterwards or something, not a problem. Give me a shout, throw me an email, and we could go really as in depth on this thing as we need to. All right. Well, it looks like I've got some people jumping out of it, and the questions definitely slowed down there. But So I want to throw a quick thank you guys for jumping on today. And like I said, name, number, email are still on the screen. So if you guys want to jot that down, hit me up afterwards. By all means, go for it. But otherwise, I'm going to turn you guys loose, and hopefully I hear from you guys soon.